Hey guys, it's Michelle.
Leah.
And Brandy.
And this is Spooky Shit and Tales from the Beyond. Alright, this week we're going to be talking about monsters. So I'm going to be starting out talking about vampires.
And then I'm going to be talking about Krampus.
And then I'm going to talk about something called a revenant. I already fucking...
Oh, I've never heard of this. I'm talking about Jesus.
A revenant.
Revenant. Okay, I don't know what that is, so...
Should be interesting
yes.
to learn about.
I'm talking about Jesus. So, like I said, I'm going to be talking about vampires. If you don't know what vampires are, first of all, how? But anyway, according to Google...
Twilight.
Yeah, Twilight. I think it's Twilight or Buffy. When I search vampire definition, a vampire is, quote, a corpse supposed...
Supposed?
It sounds like it's not supposed to be pronounced supposed.
An animated corpse?
Yeah, sure. Let's say...
Everywhere. Or
let's
an undead
change
creature.
it.
Just start your sentence again. I'm confused.
No?
I'm reading...
Okay.
That's not my quote. That's not the definition.
A corpse. Supposed.
Supposed. Okay. I'm just gonna keep talking
that
then.
Doesn't make sense.
Fuck you, Brandy.
Say a different word, bro.
You know what? It doesn't matter. This is the definition. I don't care if you guys think it's wrong.
Okay.
A corpse, supposed. That sounds stupid. And European folklore to leave its... Oh, it does make sense because it's just a comma. Killing it. To leave its grave at night to drink the blood of the living by biting their necks with long pointed canine teeth. The word vampire itself wasn't mentioned in English in books until the 1700s, but it seems like almost every culture ever has had their own version of the vampire, even thousands of years ago, though some called them by other names. They were even in ancient Greece. To show you guys, like, this shit is old. So, like I said before, when they weren't called vampires, they would sometimes be called, like, demons, spirits. Some people would even say that they were the devil.
Bloodsuckers.
Yep.
Leeches.
They were categorized by eating flesh and drinking blood. In Africa, they have a few different versions of the vampire. One in Madagascar called the Ramanga. I didn't Google how to say anything.
That sounded okay.
It sounded like manga, like anime comic books.
No, you're fine.
But it's like a vampire creature who drinks the blood and eats the nail clippings of nobles.
What the fuck?
Oh.
I tried to write down some of the weirder ones. There's another originating from southern Ghana called the Asanbasam. It's said to be a creature with iron teeth, pink skin, long red hair, and hooks for feet. It lives in trees and attacks from above. So literally me when I had red hair.
I would love to see a picture of how that looks.
Probably creepy, actually.
Yeah, probably really creepy, but interesting.
So Asia also has vampires. In parts of the Philippines, there was a Mandarago, which is Tagalog for bloodsucker. Like you said earlier, bloodsucker.
Bloodsuckers?
These things would take the form of a pretty girl by day and by night develop wings and a long, hollow, thread-like tongue that it used to suck up blood from its victims.
Whoa.
That's kind of... It's like a straw tongue.
That tongue is a little too descriptive for me.
I know, right? It was like thread-like, and I was like, oh.
Like a tiny little snake.
Yeah. So, Jiangshi, also known as hopping vampires, were a Chinese version of the vampire. According to legend, they were undead corpses that would move by hopping around with its arms outstretched and it'd kill people by absorbing their life force.
Whoa.
Like a Dementor?
Kind of like a Dementor, but hopping.
Like a little frog Dementor.
Yeah, exactly. So during the day, it would rest in a coffin or hide in dark places. They had greenish-white skin that some think could have been mold growing on the corpses. They would have long white hair all over their heads and behave like animals. It's very descriptive. So even the chupacabra of Puerto Rico and Mexico actually kind of counts as a type of vampire. I won't go too much into them because I'm pretty sure one of you guys said that you want to talk about them in the future. But just a quick little rundown. They are reptile-like creatures that feed upon the flesh and blood of other animals. They're vampires.
Kind of,
So,
yeah, by definition, technically.
They were on the vampire Wikipedia, Leah.
Oh,
they are vampires.
My bad.
So while vampires have been around for basically forever, the kind that's most commonly thought of, like, you know, when you think of vampires, that kind of basically became popular during the medieval period.
Like very attractive looking porcelain skin model Abercrombie & Fitch vampires.
I mean, that's not actually what I think of, so
really?
Never mind. I'll just get to descriptions
okay.
soon. I'm like, oh, hot vampires.
I think
Robert Pattinson.
Yeah, I think my mind has been tainted by Twilight.
Yeah, I'm thinking more like Dracula.
Dracula could get it.
Okay.
Anyway.
So I feel like a lot of my information from below this point will mostly be European descriptions because they seem to be the ones most obsessed with vampires for some reason. So some of the causes of people becoming vampires was, of course, getting bitten by one, having all your blood drained from your body, and becoming one yourself. I don't really know exactly how that process works. It's just like happens.
You just wake up one day and you're a vampire.
Yeah.
For no
like,
reason.
Oh, shit. So
All of a sudden you crave human blood.
it's whatever. We've all
or
been
animal
there.
blood.
So others I haven't really heard of as much are people who had taken their own lives, witches, and corpses being possessed by demons. And these are all vampires.
Whoa.
So apparently, like, anything could be a vampire, is what I learned today while researching. Everything's a vampire. So early descriptions of the vampire are actually pretty different in some ways than they are now. Especially Leah's version. I meant, like, Dracula. They weren't hot. They did usually look healthier than they did in life. They would look plumper, and they usually didn't show any signs of decomposing. I like that they said plump so
I like
many
that word.
times.
That's a good
They
word.
got a little thick.
Dracula was a little plump.
Yeah.
Ready for the pickings.
Okay. So their skin was a purplish or darker color, which people took for a sign that they had recently been feeding. Sometimes when digging up suspected vampires, they'd even find fresh blood on their faces, like they'd attacked someone. Fangs weren't initially a thing that people looked out for, and they also were able to go into the sun, even though they preferred going out at night. So those things were just kind of added later on.
Okay.
And I thought it was pretty interesting that it's so, like, not how I think of vampires now. Leah is just like, Abercrombie and Fitch, hot. But I imagine them, like, pale, gaunt,
Yeah.
sharp fangs, and they can't go out in the sun.
Well,
The normal way.
no, I imagine all of that, but on Abercrombie and Fitch models.
Okay.
Pale, sharp teeth. They don't like going out in the sun. That's literally what Twilight is, but they're all just beautiful.
Yeah, I was actually comparing them to vampire media in my head. Like Twilight, they have like the sparkly skin and they're hot and they're pale and blah blah blah. They can't go out in the sun, right? Because they sparkle or some shit.
They
don't get hurt.
can. They
They
can go in the
can,
sun.
Does that hurt them too?
No.
No.
Oh, they just
they stand out.
They
so
expose
they-
themselves.
Yeah.
They like
The
just
Volt-
act like you're wearing body glitter.
No, the Volturi will
Right?
come for them and kill them.
Oh god.
Yep.
Anyway, I also thought in my head comparing them to Buffy because they have like the bumpy foreheads.
The ones in Buffy are just ugly. They cannot get it.
Exactly. I mean, yeah, they're
I never
vampires.
saw Buffy, so.
Oh, Buffy's good. You should watch it. But regardless, I admire the range of all these vampires' appearances.
It's nice to have a variety to choose from.
Exactly. So the description for them turn into what me and Brandy is when I say we now think of, based on the book by Bram Stoker called Dracula. I'm sure everyone has heard of Dracula, except for like the weird people listening to this who are also like, "What's a vampire? Tell me."
Wait, can I mention a little funny side story that you guys will like?
Sure.
When I was
I'm a vampire.
No, when I was a junior in high school, I was taking a biology class, and the teacher, we were talking about like genetics, and we were talking about how the widow's peak, I think it's like a dominant it's like a dominant gene. And then the teacher made sure to point out, he's like, "Oh yeah, like, you guys think of Dracula, like, he's a widow's peak." And then he literally like pointed me out and he said, "Oh, like Leah has a widow's peak like Dracula." And I was like Dracula?
I have a widow's peak.
It was
I could never have side bangs growing up. It was
Yeah.
awful.
It was just a funny story. He literally like called me Dracula, and
I
ever
think
since
Dracula just straight had a receding hairline. That's more than a widow's peak.
True.
But yeah, did you guys know that Dracula has some similarities to a real life person? You've probably heard of Vlad the Impaler. Have you not?
No.
Okay, never mind. So I'm going to
you?
tell you about Vlad the Impaler. Why do I know this? Now I feel weird that I always am like, Vlad the Impaler, he's Dracula.
What did they mention on Buffy or something?
Probably not.
How do
I
you
don't know
know
that
this?
I know this. I don't know.
I thought I knew it all.
So, whatever. This guy's real name was Vlad Dracul III. He ruled Romania on and off in the 1400s. He was like from Transylvania. Is Transylvania still a place?
I don't know.
I feel bad that I can't answer that question.
Leah's probably like, I've never heard Transylvania either.
No, I know what Transylvania
Hotel
is.
Transylvania?
Yeah. There's
Before you
vampires
go,
in that.
let's
I don't
find
think
out.
I've seen it.
You haven't seen Hotel Transylvania?
You didn't know who Vlad the Impaler was, Brandy.
It is.
Hold it.
It's a region in Romania.
Okay, so it is still a thing. I thought maybe it was like old times. Because it was in the
They
1400s.
changed her name.
Yeah.
Sort of like Soviet Union is now Russia, that sort of thing.
Yeah. So, reading descriptions of Vlad, he's described as being a just leader, but also extremely cruel. His nickname, Vlad the Impaler, comes from his favorite way to kill enemies, impaling them on wooden stakes.
Oh, on a wooden stake?
Yep.
Not even something sharp? What?
I mean, you can sharpen wood. Buffy used a stake.
But
I act like she's a real person.
Oh.
Buffy was fine using a stake.
that's gnarly,
Buffy
dude.
was buff.
Yeah, she was buff. She was lit. Legend also has it that he would dine among his dying victims and dip his bread in their blood.
No. Wait, so they would die slowly?
I'm guessing. I don't fucking know.
That's horrible.
I didn't read much on Vlad the Impaler because that's whenever you guys came over and I was like, fuck, you're here already? So it's not confirmed, but many believe that this is what inspired Stoker to write his story with the titular character. Is it titular or titular?
Is that a word?
I don't know.
Bro, how do you guys not know any of these fucking things I'm talking about? You guys probably listening at the beginning like, what's a vampire?
Do you mean tubular?
Not tubular. The title named after this character, like Hannah Montana is the titular character.
What?
I always read it titular.
Just say title.
The title named character.
Why we gotta get so fancy?
I'm starting my
Michelle?
sentence over, and I'm just gonna say title named. So it's not confirmed, but many believe that this is what inspired Stoker to write his story, with the title named character being named after him. Dracula would suck out his victim's blood, and you could kill him using a stake through the heart. So super similar to Vlad the Impaler dipping his little bread dip in blood. I don't know.
His little tiny, what did you say about the Filipino version? Like tiny little straw tongues?
His thread-like tongue.
His thread-like tongue.
So anyway, to prevent their loved ones from turning into a vampire or from rising from their graves if they were one, precautions were made when burying bodies. There were different traditions all over the world, so I'll just tell you a few. One was burying them upside down, sometimes also placing sickles in the grave to appease any demons who possessed the body and keeping them from rising from their grave.
What do you mean by sickles?
I knew you were going to ask. You don't know shit about vampires, you fucking loser. Sickles are just like, they're like that roundish knife that, like, I imagine you're like,
Oh, okay.
like you cut plants. And you guys can hear my noise. Hopefully this helps. It goes,
Like you're walking.
that's a sickle.
Yes, it's like a scythe. It's a small version.
It's like
of
a small scythe, but more round too. I
Yeah,
feel like.
either way, it's used for harvesting grains and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, or they would bury them with scythes too.
That's so funny too, because I don't even know what scythe means. So.
It's like the thing
It's
Grim
weapon
Reaper
that the
holds.
Grim Reaper used.
Yeah.
Oh, that's all you had to say. That's all you had to say.
Buffy for real.
Come on.
Sorry.
man.
So this method is my favorite though. Some people would put piles of sand or seeds and grains next to a grave because apparently vampires are associated with a disorder called arithmomania, which is kind of related to OCD and makes the person with it feel a need to count the objects in their surrounding area. So if they rose from the grave, they'd be like, "Ah, fuck! Now I gotta count all this sand and I can't leave."
What the fuck?
It's so weird. Fun fact, I guess this is actually what inspired the vampire on Sesame Street and him like counting everything obsessively because that's the thing vampires do.
That's funny.
That's hilarious.
And I didn't know that guy's name, and I googled it, and it was like Count Van Count or something like that, right?
Count Van Count.
Did I
I
get
thought
so?
it was Count Dracula.
No, they definitely didn't name him Dracula.
It had something with Count because he would just
I think
count
it
the
was
whole time.
Count Von Count. Well, you made me feel so confident. I didn't write it down, and now I'm doubting myself.
I swear I have memory.
I'm looking
of
it
him
up.
being
Are you
wrong.
thinking of Count Chocula,
No, it
the
is Count.
cereal?
It is Count Von Count.
You're thinking of Count Chocula,
It really
the
is.
cereal.
See?
Yeah, Count Von Count. I almost keep saying cunt.
I love how he would laugh.
Oh, do it, Brandy.
No.
Oh, fine.
Do it, bro.
Spiking bodies or close to the earth was another way. Romani people drove needles in the corpse's heart, placed steel in the mouth, over the eyes, ears, and between the fingers when buried.
That's disturbing. The
It's so
families let them.
specific. Yeah, well, they thought that like their body was basically being possessed, so they would rather do that. I didn't even think it was disturbing. I was like, this is so specific. They're like between the fingers on top of the eyes.
Yeah, but if you imagine how a
How
dead
it
body
looked.
looks with all that,
Yeah.
that's so scary.
Other cultures would pour boiling water over the grave, or they incinerate the body. A more brutal way to keep the corpse in place was severing the tendons of the body before burying it.
Oh my god.
That one grossed me out.
All of the tendons?
I'm guessing.
There's a lot of tendons in the body. That's really
As
gross.
much as they knew about back then, because let's be real, they
True.
probably didn't know about
They
much.
probably just do, like
There's
arm and
one.
leg.
Yeah. But if you're in certain regions of Germany, you can just put a lemon in the corpse mouth and you're fine.
Oh yeah, because that'll make it so they won't come back.
I love the range here. They're like, cut the tendons or put a lemon in their mouth.
Jesus.
Cured.
Yeah.
Cured.
So if you haven't done any of these steps and think like, oh shit, are they a vampire? Don't worry, there's some ways to tell. One way to look and see if they're a vampire, you could look for holes in the ground of the grave, or you could do the easier way by getting a virgin boy to ride a virgin stallion, usually if it has to be black, but it could be a white virgin stallion if it's in Albania, and you just have the virgin pair lead you to the grave of the vampires.
What the
If you don't want to look for holes in the earth, that's another option.
What if the horse is lying about being a virgin?
Then you're fucked, I guess. Now, imagine you get led to a grave by your virgins and see a bunch of holes in the earth. You're gonna need some protection. So, depending where you are...
What kind of protection?
Okay. You can use garlic, holy water, rosary, crucifixes. You can also put mustard seeds on your roof, which is a thing. I don't know what this does.
What about the lemons?
I don't know.
This is in a different country, huh?
These are just all over the place. I'm sure another one was like, hang up lemons. You can also put up a bunch of mirrors, and according to legend, this can either ward them off or they can't see the reflections, so they just leave. I don't know why.
Okay.
They're like, oh, that's depressing.
It's an empty void.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go somewhere else.
It's advised to stay inside at night, as that's when they prefer to hunt, and do not invite them inside. They can't come in without an invitation.
Wait, that's like...
Did you not know that either, Leah?
That reminded me of Skinwalkers a little. They just would hang outside the house, and you have to, like,
I told you.
invite
I
them
think
in.
whenever you said that, I was like vampires.
Oh, okay, you might have.
If you need to kill a vampire, the most obvious way is by using a stake, either in the heart or mouth or even stomach.
Does it matter if it's medium rare or, like, well done?
It depends on the country. Some countries, if you decide to go the traditional route and use a wooden stake, they have certain woods that they prefer you to use.
Oh, would it? Oh, I thought you meant like a T-bone or something.
No, that's in America.
Oh, okay.
In Europe, they do wooden.
Okay, sorry
Yeah.
guys, I'm on a good one today.
You can also decapitate the vampires, which honestly sounds so much harder, but it's a vampire, like you gotta do what you gotta do. After decapitating them, you should bury their head between their feet, behind their butt, or just totally away from their body to be safe.
I would put it behind the butt and then call them a head ass.
Leah's ready to go home.
Why not ass head?
Ass.
Head ass.
Okay.
You're a butt head.
You guys are ready to go. I'll just get this done.
Sorry guys, we're doing another 2 episodes in a day, so...
Yeah, we just did the surviving people. I don't know what I'm going to name the episode yet. We'll find out later.
I survived.
I survived. Trademark. So, one of the earliest vampire tales was of this guy whose name I didn't Google. Jur Grando in the 17th century in what is now Croatia. According to legend, for 16 years after his death, he would rise from his grave and terrorize his village. It said that somebody would go around knocking on doors, and just a few days later, somebody in that house would die. He also would go to his widow and harass and sexually assault her. He was described as looking like he was smiling and gasping for air, which is actually pretty creepy.
What is that?
I hurt my throat.
That is scary.
There were a couple of attempts to kill him with a stake that were unsuccessful. The wood wouldn't pierce his skin and would instead like a rebound off of it.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's kind of fucked up. But one night, some villagers went to his grave intent on ending his reign of terror, where they found his corpse laying perfectly intact, smiling up at them. Creepy.
With like a gaspy smile?
I don't know if he was like sleeping, because he was just laying them like hang out.
That's creepy.
Because they then performed some exorcism prayers, and after they tried again to hit him with this stake and it didn't work, and they were then able to decapitate him. According to the story, as soon as the saw broke his flesh, he screamed and blood began to come from the wound.
Michelle, that's...
Fuck.
Jesus. Should have warned us graphic.
Well, he was dead for 16 years. I don't know.
If he finally felt something.
Yeah.
He finally felt alive.
But after this decapitation, the village was peaceful once again. Vampire stories continued. During the 1700s in Europe, there was a mass hysteria over supposed vampire sightings. They were so commonplace that even government officials would hunt and stake vampires themselves. So 1700s, honestly. The panic began after 2 specific incidents that people believed were vampire attacks. I'll tell you about the first, and it involved a guy named Petar Blagojevich. Yep. He's from Serbia, needless to say.
It's a Serbian name.
Yes. So Petar, Petar, Petar.
Guitar.
Petar. That's my Russian accent. I don't know.
Why don't you just say Petar?
Petar. He died in 1725 at 62, and over the following week, supposedly some people say even after every 24 hours, 9 other people also died nearby from blood loss. Some of the victims claimed on their deathbeds that Petar had attacked them in the night. Different versions of this legend say that he came to life and asked his son for food. When he was denied, he attacked and murdered him, most likely by biting and drinking his blood. It's said that locals went to check his grave to see if it showed any signs of vampirism, and they found that his body showed no indication of decomposition, and he looked like he had fresh blood on his mouth. They staked him through the heart and claimed that fresh blood began to come from his ears and mouths, and then they burned the body to prevent any further attacks.
Oh, he was leaking.
Yeah, he was leaking. So one of the more recent stories on actual suspected vampires takes place in Rhode Island in 1892.
Oh, the colonies.
Yep, the colonies.
Wait, is that ignorant to say? Were they still considered colonies back
I
then?
don't know, it just sounded really cheesy. Say, ooh, the colonies.
Well, regardless, it was one of the first 13 colonies. So.
Thank you, Leah.
I got you.
So, a family here, the Browns, were losing several family members in a short span of time to consumption, which we talked about before is tuberculosis, or TB for short. The mother, Mary Eliza, was the first to die in 1986, followed by daughter Mary Olive and other daughter Mercy, while the son Edward contracted the disease. Rumors began to go around that one of the dead family members was a vampire, and the family patriarch George got permission to exhume some bodies to see if they showed any signs of this. While digging up both Mary Eliza and Mary Olive, they showed normal signs of decomposition. But then they dug up Mercy, and she showed almost no hint of decomposing and still had blood in her heart.
Oh.
What?
But I should point out that this could be because she was stored in like freezer-like conditions in a crypt above ground for months after her death.
And the other daughters weren't?
They were, the daughter and the mom were buried underground.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I believe so. They only pointed out how this girl was buried.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, they took this as confirmation that Mary was definitely a vampire and was the one making Edwin sick. Mercy's heart and liver were cut out and burned. Then the ashes were mixed with water, and it was given as a tonic to Edwin to try and cure him of his TB.
What the fuck?
Unsurprisingly, this did not work, and he died a few months later.
Yeah. I also found it interesting, too, how tuberculosis is called consumption. Consumption almost sounds like alcoholism to
That's
me.
what I thought whenever you said consumption before. You were about to explain it, I was like, isn't it
that's
alcoholism?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't. The 1700s were a weird time, though.
This is 1890. This is almost the 1900s.
Oh,
It was
shit.
not that long ago, you guys.
Oh, okay. Never mind. My bad.
Yeah. But as it stands now, vampires are almost totally believed to be fictitious, but there are actually exceptions. For example, in Romania in 2004, several people thought that their deceased relative may have been a vampire, so they dug him up, cut out and burned his heart, and drank it mixed with water, just like Edwin.
Whoa.
This is a thing.
So they're still doing that.
Yeah. In 2017, in Malawi, I don't know how to pronounce that, a couple of people were actually killed by mobs when they were suspected of being vampires.
Aww.
That was 3 years ago.
That's really
That
sad.
is so recent. Believe the hype still, you guys. So there's a decent amount of reasons that could explain what was really happening when so-called vampires were sighted. One was that the person that had been buried wasn't actually dead. Like, remember some of the stories, like, date back hundreds of years, maybe even fucking thousands. And let's be real, medical science just was not there yet.
They could have been in a coma and they just couldn't get a pulse very well.
Yeah, I was thinking, even in our Cemetery and Bone Daddies episode, like, I mentioned a girl who was buried alive, and that wasn't even too long ago compared to these. So, in this theory, the person may have awoken to find themselves buried alive and scratched the coffin or banged their head against it, which would explain the inside looking disheveled or blood surrounding them like they'd been feeding if anyone dug them up. Because there's a couple that, like, they're like, oh my god, they have fresh blood on their mouth, and that could be it.
Could have been their own blood.
Yeah, exactly. So, in the same thread regarding lack of medical knowledge, it could definitely be just that nobody knew much about decomposition, like how it worked. So, for example, if a body was kept in a cold area, you could see it again and be like, dude, he still looks the same. This is fucked up. On the other hand, some of the ways bodies decompose can actually give the impression of a person looking more lively. I'm going to get a little graphic talking about what happens to dead bodies.
Oh,
So, if that grosses you out, skip. But if you're Leah or Brandy, listen.
Shit, how do I skip? I don't want to know this. I don't want to know this.
I want to get cremated, so it's whatever.
Yeah, I don't like this. I'm not going to like this already. No.
You're not. So basically, when you die, your bodies end up swelling from gases that have accumulated, which can lead to you looking bigger and more plump. How to use the word plump again? How to do it to them.
Like bloated, right?
Yeah, especially if you were thinner in life. So that's why some people like look at it and be like, oh, they look like even healthier.
Yeah.
Probably because like 1700s, they probably didn't have any fucking food to eat and they're all emaciated. The gases can also cause pressure that force blood to ooze from the nose and mouth. Sorry, that's disgusting. But people
I already knew that.
Yeah, people who see that could think that the corpse was a vampire that had been feeding. So like kind of what I said before, they open it up and they're like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Again with these gases, when they move past your vocal cords, it can make a noise like you're groaning.
Oh my god, I did not know that. That's creepy.
Yeah, because like I feel like everyone's heard of like, it sounds like you're farting as it moves, but it also could sound like groaning coming from your mouth.
Dude, that's
super
real?
creepy. I mean, according to like a history.com article, that's real.
No, it probably is real, but that's...
It sounds real.
Whoa, that I don't... Oh, that's so creepy.
Another thing that happens is your skin and gums lose fluid and shrink. This reveals the root of your hair, nails, and can even expose teeth that were previously hidden in your jaw, which can give the effect of like you still growing even in death, especially like the teeth. Your teeth will look bigger. Backtracking from the death talk. Rabies was another possible explanation. It can cause hypersensitivity, such as the avoidance of garlic and sunlight. It can also lead to weird sleep patterns and frothing at the mouth. Rabies is also associated with bats, which some legends say vampires are able to turn into.
Many?
Yeah, almost all.
Isn't that the main thing in Dracula, too, is he's a bat?
Yeah, but apparently Dracula is not the blueprint for vampires. After reading all this shit.
True.
So some people believe that vampires are just used as a scapegoat for diseases that plagued entire families. Like one family, for example, the Browns from above, they would all get sick and start dying off, and people were probably afraid and they didn't know much about diseases, so they were like, shit, guess it's gotta be a blood-sucking undead monster. I don't know.
Yeah.
Some diseases could also leave behind bleeding lesions on victims' faces, which can make you look like a vampire, like you've been feeding. There's also a blood disorder that I didn't look too much into. I just read like Wikipedia's description, but it's called porphyria, which can cause extreme blisters when the skin is exposed to sunlight, much like vampires, who are sometimes interpreted as being able to being unable to go into sunlight.
Oh yeah, that's definitely a thing. I've seen some documentaries about people who can't go in the sunlight.
Yeah.
Because they'll blister.
Like me in high school when I was agoraphobic.
Oh my god. Yeah, but
Yeah.
I'm saying like a physical condition, not just...
Mine was mental.
Yeah, not just a mental.
So that's my story on vampires.
Am
talked
I
for a long time.
Am I going next?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna be talking about the folklore monster Krampus or Krampus. I'm gonna
I
be.
should have saved this for a Christmas special.
Yeah, I mentioned that.
I
got-
too late now.
Well, I was gonna say too. I'm gonna be talking about Krampus, and obviously the pronunciation might sound a little different than what you're used to, but I'm just going off the German pronunciation of it because
She lived in Germany for a year, so she like knows
no,
how to
I'm
say
just
Krampus.
saying I just want to pronounce things better because usually I suck at pronunciation. So at least I can do this one right.
Take advantage of the German knowledge.
Exactly. And yeah, so I, like Michelle said, I was in Germany before, and this is how I had first heard of Krampus. So I initially was really fucking freaked out that this was even a thing, and you'll know why soon. But when we were doing the monster episode, I was like, okay, this will be perfect to talk about. And also, too, Krampus doesn't just exist in Germany. He actually exists in Austria, Croatia, Hungary, northern Italy, Slovenia, and even parts of France. I originally, like I said to Michelle, I originally wanted to save Krampus for, like, a Christmas special.
I just want to post this episode till Christmas.
Oh my gosh, imagine. But desperate times call for desperate measures. And
She really didn't want to talk about werewolves. You
yeah,
guys.
so I originally chose to talk about werewolves, but I started working on it 2 days ago, and literally I was just like started yawning. Like it was not it for me. Like
I feel like I would enjoy talking about
you
them.
might, but the history was too lengthy, and I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I prefer talking about the true crime. I'm not sure why. I feel like it's easier to talk about because it's more like facts. And then when I was researching werewolves in the beginning, it was just so much like speculation, and there was just so much from different cultures.
Oh, I like it. That's why you could tell
Yeah.
I went off, and I was like, this
No,
red like tongue in the Philippines.
Yeah, you did good, but I don't know. For me, I was just like, okay, I need something that's gonna be more specific. So
I just have a
let's
better
stick to Central Europe.
imagination.
Yeah, I guess so. And who doesn't love some German folklore? I mean, they have some really interesting folklore and some interesting traditions. So
I feel like you've told a story about Germany, right?
I probably have. I would have to think about it a little bit more.
We have too many episodes now.
We do. We're just so
well,
big.
guys, this is our last episode.
So Christmas time is supposed to be a joyful and exciting time for children, unless you're a child in Germany. Just kidding.
Unless you get Krampus.
So parents pass down the idea to their children that Saint Nick, aka Santa Claus, is always watching. So make sure to behave and always do the right thing. And as the song goes, he's making a list, checking it twice, gonna find out who's naughty or nice. Everybody knows how that song goes.
Santa Claus is coming.
Exactly. And originally I didn't plan on quoting a Christmas song, but shit happens. It felt right.
Well, it's fine if we're gonna post this on Christmas.
For sure. Imagine we really save it till then. That'd be awesome.
Just 3 months.
But what if I told you guys that instead of just the idea that naughty children should be punished with no presents or maybe a gift of coal, Santa did something much worse.
Kills them.
No.
I don't know what Krampus does.
He gave the naughty list to Krampus. Krampus is like
so Krampus kills them.
No, Krampus doesn't actually kill the
boring.
kids. Torments them more so.
Oh, okay.
And if you don't know who Krampus is, well, buckle up because you guys are about to find out.
Buckle up.
Buckle up. He's by far the most terrifying looking creature I might have ever seen. And don't worry, we will be posting a bunch of pictures of Krampus on our Instagram because you guys, like, he literally does like house visits in Germany and like Austria and these countries. At the parents, you know how like Santa Claus will visit like houses and visit little kids. Well, Krampus will do the same thing in Germany, and he'll literally like scare the kids into being good.
That's kind of fucked up.
It's always how it is though with folklore, isn't it? Yep.
Always fucked.
Always fucked. So he is a horned, half-goat, half-demon, human-like creature whose only goal is to terrify and torment small children who misbehave around Christmas time.
Literally me babysitting.
Shut up. So when discussing Krampus, there are two periods of time that give us entirely different stories. The initial period of pagan tradition and the period after during Christian tradition. And there's a lot of folklore that roots at pagan tradition if you guys haven't noticed by now.
Yep.
Unfortunately, just like a lot of pagan traditions, a lot of like the history and knowledge has been somewhat lost and even has been absorbed into Christian tradition over time, so we don't know exactly what the tradition looked like before the Christian traditions began. We just kind of have an idea.
Christians really
They just kind of
everything.
they just kind of claimed it as their own. One of the earliest connections I could find that could be related to Krampus is the pagan goddess Perchta, whose story originated in Germany and Austria. She is the middle ground between Santa Claus and Krampus. She is not entirely evil, but she's not entirely good. She's pretty fucking bad on the other hand. Yes.
Oh, never mind. Not
You'll see why.
ambiguous.
So she would appear in one of two forms, either as a beautiful woman, as white as snow, or as an old, haggard woman.
Me.
So in the folklore, Perchta was said to roam the countryside in the middle of winter and to enter homes during the 12 days between Christmas and Epiphany. And Epiphany is on January 6th, and it's pretty much a Christian feast that celebrates the revelation of God incarnate as Jesus Christ. I don't really
Never
fucking
heard
know
of that.
exactly what that means, but I guess it's a thing if you Google it.
Kind of just like Easter.
I don't know, to be honest. It's its own thing. It's like a feast. I'm not sure.
Any excuse to eat food.
Exactly.
We have Thanksgiving.
So she would know whether the children and young servants of the household had behaved well and worked hard all year.
Oh, the young servants? This must be old
It's
times.
old. So if they had, they might find a small silver coin in their shoe the next day. But if they had misbehaved, she would simply, I repeat, slit their bellies open, remove their stomach and guts, and stuff the hole with straw and pebbles before sewing it back up.
Huh.
That's why when I said, I was like, she's not entirely bad or good. And I was like, I feel like she's pretty fucking
I
bad.
was like, you said she's not bad. And
Yeah.
you're like, she would just slit their stomachs open.
Yeah, so if you're good, you get a fucking coin. And if you're bad, you get your stomach slit open and your insides torn out.
Shit, I hope that coin is worth it.
I hope so. Shit, I'm pretty sure it's just like it wasn't worth much. It's
a
like getting a
penny.
quarter. But okay. So just like I said before, who doesn't love German folklore?
For you.
So she paid special attention to ensure that the girls had spun enough wool during the year. Like I said, This is very old. Otherwise, they would also be punished. She would also slit people's bellies open and stuff them with straw if they had eaten something other than the traditional meal of fish and gruel on the night of Epiphany.
What the fuck is gruel?
I was saying the same thing, so I googled what gruel is, and it's kind of like a watery sort of oatmeal noodle.
Oh, I think
Yeah.
I eat gruel on Big Brother sometimes.
Porridge.
Yeah, it wasn't good. No, it was like worse than porridge. Like really, really watery oatmeal soup. Horrible.
It's like whenever I go to make my microwave oatmeal and I put too much water.
Yeah, Michelle.
Ugh, I hate
Michelle
that.
ends up with gruel.
I've done that twice this week.
Yeah.
2 days of gruel, you guys.
As long as you're eating fish and gruel, Michelle, you won't be
I'm
punished.
vegan.
Then she's gonna punish you, bruh. So accompanying Persia were her entourage of Pershtin. They took on 2 different forms. Some are beautiful and bright, known as Shun Pershtin, which literally translates to beautiful Pershtin.
Some are old hags.
Not quite.
Oh.
And the Shun Pershtin appeared during the 12 days before Christmas to bring villagers luck and wealth. So very good, guys. Very wholesome.
Unless you're bad.
No. The other form is Shiak Pershtin, which literally translates to ugly Pershtin. So these are the bad motherfuckers.
That makes me ugly too.
Right? So they were really ugly. They had fangs, tusks, and horsetails. They actually, like, if you see a picture of how they're depicted, they look pretty similar to the modern day Krampus. You'll soon know why. There's a connection there between the two.
I was gonna say, Krampus just went rogue. He used to be one of those.
Yeah, you kind of hit the nail on the head there, Michelle.
Welcome everyone. You can stop the episode now.
That's it. Problem solved. So they would go from house to house driving out bad spirits. They would walk in the village in what would be called Persian Lauf, which means Persian walks. And then since Christianity was at the time becoming more prominent in Central Europe, and obviously like everyone was kind of pushing, like a lot of people were trying to push people to become Catholic.
That's so weird to think
Paganism
about now.
was sort of fading out of the public view.
Yeah.
Not like people who were pagans wanted to, but it was kind of forced upon them. So these Persian Lauthans, they were the pagans' kind of like last fuck you to the Catholic Church. Literally. The Catholic Church also found them kind of satanic and disturbing, like they thought they were satanic rituals.
They literally found everything
Yeah,
satanic, so that's not
exactly.
surprising.
They even tried banning it, but by banning Persian Laufin, Krampus and Krampus runs would be born, and I'll be talking about what that is very soon. So somehow Krampus became associated with Christmas, most likely due to the fact that the winter solstice is around Christmas time. And Krampus is most likely an evolved version of Persian, and I want to guess that this is his ability to scare children into behaving, which made him a very instant hit with parents. Yeah. I mean, if my parents had told me as a little kid that if I was being bad, Krampus would take me away on Christmas, I'd probably act a whole lot better too, rather than just them threatening to not get you gifts.
Dad used to tell us about the Prairie Man.
That's true, but
That if we went,
Did he
left
tell
our
us about
RV,
Krampus?
someone would kidnap us or some shit.
yeah, I remember that. I still
It's
think about
fucked
that.
up. It was like a monster.
Yeah, I still think about the Prairie Man.
Yeah, it's creepy.
So, Krampus was created as a counterpart to Jolly St. Nicholas, aka Santa, who rewarded children with sweets. Krampus...
I like that you took the time to say Jolly St. Nicholas.
Well, just because a lot of the stuff I was reading about Krampus, it was referring to him as St. Nick instead of Santa.
So they're, yeah.
But just because I feel like we say Santa more often,
We
but
do.
everything I read, it was saying St. Nick, which is the same person, but I don't know. It just...
What? No.
What?
What?
It's like Hannah Montana. What? So, in comparison to Santa, Krampus would instead grab wicked children, stuff them in a sack, and take them away to his lair until the next year.
Oh.
I'm not sure what he'd do with them, but yeah, I mean, that's scary enough.
Put him to work.
Yeah, that's scary enough for a little kid to
That's
want to
fucking
behave.
weird.
True.
At least their stomachs were being slit open, honestly.
For real.
Not too shabby.
Not as bad as the Perst. And he's also named for the German word Krumpen, which means claw. Which would make sense if you saw a picture of him, because he's all claws.
Oh, okay.
So the night before December 6th, Saint Nicholas Day is also known as Krampusnacht, which means Krampus night. The Krampuslauf is a traditional parade known in English as the Krampus Run. During this unique Christmas procession, there isn't just one Krampus, but several locals who play and dress the part. Kind of like imagine a Christmas parade, you're going to see several Santa Claus.
I was like Comic-Con.
Pretty much, yeah. So they wear goat and or sheepskin suits, strapped animal horns to their heads, and often wore hand-carved masks.
That's creepy.
Yeah, don't worry, there's gonna be a ton of pictures of this. You guys have to know what Krampus looks like. Like, it's fucking terrifying, dude. Like, Nightmare on Elm Street shit. It's just, you don't want to be there, and...
I was also thinking I might just have you guys start texting me 2 pictures relevant to your story, because I feel like I choose shitty pictures for your stories.
Yeah, I'm down.
Because I don't know what to use.
Yeah, that's a good idea. So the parades usually lasted a couple of hours, but are filled with excitement. Kind of like that feeling when you go to a haunted house and want to get scared for fun. That's sort of the vibe that...
Like me next month watching the 2nd season of Haunting of Hill House.
Oh.
Hey, you know I had to mention it.
Bro, we're gonna do a fucking live podcast.
Yeah, everyone come over the day up. I got my
excited.
decorations.
Dude, I'm so down. So, the Krampuslauf would usually be accompanied by mini Perchten, which, if you guys remember, are sort of like the beautiful, like, angelic-looking ones, and also the haggard-looking ones that kind of look like Krampus. So they're also there harassing children. Yeah, so as they're walking along the street, they'll, like, come up to children and, like, fucking say some German shit and, like, growl at them. But if you're an adult, you kind of get the other hand of it. They would walk up to you and generously hand out Krampus schnapps, which is like a type of fruity brandy.
Wait, is this still a thing they
Say
do
like
now?
eggnog.
Huh?
Do they still do this now?
Yeah.
Because if we could go to Germany this year, I wonder if we could go to this fucking
Yeah.
Krampus festival.
I know they don't do them everywhere, but it's kind of like in...
I
want
it's
to
in
imagine it's like
December
small
though,
towns.
huh? We're leaving December
Yeah, it's in
1st.
December. Yeah,
Damn.
unfortunately.
I say it like we're gonna be allowed to go.
But yeah, so they're literally like running up to children, like growling at them, and then they then they give the parents shots.
They're like,
Right? So on top of that, Krampus and Persian will also make house calls to visit misbehaving children upon their parents' requests. And sometimes an adult acting as Saint Nick will accompany them and warn the children that these monsters will take them away if they don't act right.
Jesus Christ, dude.
And yeah, so that is pretty much all I could find on Krampus. I hope you guys enjoyed that.
Fucking weird.
You guys have to watch a video of a Krampuslauf on YouTube. I just showed Michelle and Brandy it, and 10 out of 10, very entertaining.
It's weird.
It's scary.
It's very, yeah, very
kinda
terrifying. There was a part where one of the Krampuses, he went in the audience, and he literally pulled the little kid's hat over his face so he couldn't see, just fucking with him. But really scary, yeah. So,
Right.
that's it.
So I'm gonna talk about the. I literally wrote in parentheses. Parentheses.
It's about that time of the night, everyone.
Yeah, it is. I'm tired. Revenant. Yep.
Sentence again.
I thought that was
What
perfect.
sense? There wasn't a
Say, I'll be talking about the Reverend.
Oh, the Reverend.
What is it called?
I just want to keep this in at this point. Just go. It's too good. Leah doesn't even know what it's called. She's trying to correct you.
Which one is it, Brandy?
Revenant.
Revenant.
Is that what I said?
No. You put an R
Yeah,
in
you
the
put an
middle.
R.
Oh,
in
like
there.
a reverend.
Yeah.
Oops. My bad.
Okay, what's a revenant?
What is a revenant? You say?
Oh, were you really gonna start with that?
Yeah, I really
Yes,
was.
that's perfect.
Look.
You know, anytime I ask questions in the podcast, I'm hoping that it's going to be like, well, I'm glad you asked. But instead, you guys are like, shut the fuck up, Leah.
Idiot, you
Why
don't
you
know
asking so
what
much shit?
Vlad
I wanna
the
talk
Impaler is?
I literally started like that, and I said, "Well, let me tell you." So, a revenant is an animated corpse that is believed to have revived from death to haunt the living.
Sounds like a kind of vampire.
Does it? The word revenant means to come back or returning.
Oh.
It derives from an old French word,
Revenant.
revere.
Oh.
I can't pronounce it.
Say it French.
You got that. You got that. Anyways, revenants are part of the legend of various cultures, including Old Irish, Celtic, and Norse mythology, in which they refer to it as a draugr or apterganger, which translates to again walker, meaning one who walks after death.
Again, walker.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a backwards way of saying walk again.
Basically.
I mean, I feel like that was such an obvious thing for me to say. Sorry.
Revenants are undead creatures similar to zombies, vampires, and ghosts, but
What did I fucking say?
they are not to be confused with.
But they are a type of vampire.
They're really similar, yes.
Just like a chupacabra. I'm telling you guys. Everything's a vampire if you really believe.
So they have a supernatural abilities, usually similar to those of a vampire.
Bro, I'm losing my mind that you keep pretending these are vampires. You stole my story from
'Cause
underneath me.
They aren't, but they're really close.
They aren't, but let me talk more about how they're just like vampires.
They have heightened strength, speed, agility, superhuman toughness. The way I said that.
These are some signs of vampirism I did not speak of.
Immortality and regeneration? Is that what you say?
Like Doctor Who. Yes.
Yeah, I guess like that. One key difference between revenants, zombies, vampires, and ghosts is revenants come from real legends.
That was a little backhanded and bitchy of you to say. Unlike Michelle's, mine are real.
Basically.
Should I go let that one slide?
No.
In your own house?
After the recording, I'll fuck you up.
Oh,
Brandon's way.
fuck. Mommy.
Mummy. I thought you meant like a mummy.
Yeah,
Why did
mommy.
I hesitate so much? A mummy.
Bro, all you have to do now is put the and the together and make a
Rah rah.
Roma, Roma,
Literally.
Gaga, ooh la la.
Robert's face. I think he's over it.
He's like,
I'm
you
getting that
guys just
vibe.
shut
Like,
up.
I don't know if I'm overthinking. I don't know.
Revenants are extremely intelligent. Unlike a ghost or a zombie, some revenants.
I really thought you were going to say unlike a vampire, and I was like, Brandy, we need to talk.
They can talk, open doors, and even use a melee weapon. Damn,
Melee weapon?
I do stutter a lot.
It's okay. Like swords and shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Knives, machetes, up close and personal weapons.
No, jeez, I was just going like standard sword, like machetes, daggers.
So basically, a revenant is like halfway between a zombie and a ghost.
There's a little bit of vampire mixed. Just saying.
Anyways, a zombie is a reanimated corpse that usually feeds off the flesh of the living. And a ghost is a spirit. So it's kind of like in between both.
You're not going
That
to tell me
makes
that revenants somehow consume blood in a way,
No,
but they
don't.
aren't vampires. Oh. Well, never mind. You're not going to tell me that then. It's confirmed you're not.
So a revenant is...
That's a deceiving sentence, Brandy. You really seem like you're leading.
So a revenant is in between because it is a person that died, but their spirit has come back controlling their original body.
Oh, okay.
So it's like their spirit pretty much like possesses their body.
That's weird, but it's not real. That's just weird. I don't know how to explain that.
Well, I have a lot of examples, but
okay.
basically most of them, like, actually I'll explain at the end. It'll make
I
more
was going to
sense.
compare it to a deviled egg, where it's still technically the same thing, but it's all whipped up inside. I don't know why you said it, and I was like, what do you mean? And I compare this
I have an
to.
idea of what it's like. It's like, if you guys have seen Pet Sematary or read the book by Stephen King.
Whoa, just stop right there.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay, then I...
Did you guys? They're probably vampires too. Did we ever
Wait,
think about that?
wait, Brandy.
No.
You should bring up Michelle's example at the end.
No, I'm keeping that in. Don't worry.
That's
My
funny
deviled
as fuck.
egg example is spot on because it's kind of right.
Kind of,
That
I
is
guess.
funny.
It's
Okay,
like a deviled egg.
I
Oh,
get it now.
Right,
Brandy.
you
Well,
do
now
get
we got monsters and deviled egg title
Because
right
you're
there.
different. It's not. You're different, but
You're
the same
devil.
person.
Anyways, to better understand what a revenant is, I will talk about some examples I found in fiction, films, and video games.
I would love it if first on your list. It's kind of like a deviled egg.
I don't think I have anything that relates.
Okay, never mind.
Sorry.
Should I say my example again and cut out the other one? No. Your guys' reaction is spot on the first time.
So for fiction, in American Gods by Neil Gaiman, I think that's how you say it.
I think so.
Shadow Moon's wife, Laura, dies in a car accident, then returns as a revenant after he places a magical coin in her grave. She protects her husband from harm by killing his abductors and hopes that he will find a way to bring her fully back to life.
I read that book years ago, and the way she dies is fucked up. She was like sucking his friend's dick, and they got into a car crash, and it was the day he got out of prison.
What the fuck?
What if I just made that up
Holy
and I dreamt that?
shit. Well, I've never read the book, so I don't know.
That'd be a really descriptive dream that I... Spoilers if that really happened.
Also in the book Pet Sematary by Stephen King, Gage Creed could be considered a revenant
Spoiler.
because after he came back, he was psycho-strong and was able to kill his mom and neighbor.
Yep. And the cat was kind of a revenant in a way, too.
Yeah, too.
It's a book spoiler, not a movie spoiler.
It's a really old book, though.
I forgot to say, though, that I do have a lot of spoilers. Like, for
2
movies and
spoilers
shows.
in. Hey, you guys, I got quite a few spoilers here.
Yeah, I was gonna write it down and I forgot.
Didn't. It's okay.
Basic.
It's an old book.
True.
I
Have you
was
seen the movie?
gonna say you didn't spoil all of it, but you did. Yeah, the
I
movie's
did.
different. Just watch the movie. Well, that's a spoiler. I just told my it's not the same.
Spoiler alert.
Jesus.
So for films, in a Clint Eastwood Western called High Plain Drifter, Eastwood plays the role of Marshal Jim Duncan, a man killed by the Carlin brothers in the town of Lago, Arizona. The plot consists of a stranger who rides into town on the day the Carlin brothers are due to be released from prison. Turns out the townsfolk had actually hired the brothers to kill Marshal Duncan because they had set him up to hide the fact that their mining operations were illegal.
Oh.
But then the townsfolk double-crossed the Carlin brothers.
Got him arrested.
They got them arrested and said that they.
They're like, we didn't know this was gonna happen.
No, yeah, the money that they paid them, they said that they robbed them.
Wow, that
And
sounds
so-
like such a Clint Eastwood movie. I've never seen it, but even you're in Arizona or Nevada or whatever it was. I already forgot. Arizona.
Yeah. So obviously the Carlin brothers were pissed and going to return to town.
Yeah.
So the townspeople end up hiring the stranger to protect them from the brothers, and he agrees after some negotiations. The next day, the brothers arrive to town and wreak havoc. They end up, it's not graphic, but they end up raping women, pillaging, murdering most of the townspeople, and send.
Graphic, Bryn. That's not graphic.
I mean, kinda. I don't get into details,
Yeah.
but yeah. And they set most of the town on fire. Meanwhile,
God.
what?
No, I was just saying that's bad.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the stranger is nowhere to be found. After dark, the stranger comes and kills the bad guys. The next day, he leaves the partially ruined town and stops by Boot Hill, where he finds Mordecai, the only person he befriended, who was a dwarf that he named as sheriff and mayor as part of his payment. He finds Mordecai carving James Duncan on Marshall's grave. He turns to the stranger and says he doesn't know his name, to which Eastwood replied, "Yes, you do," before heading out across the plains and disappeared.
Jesus Christ. Also, worst ghost ever. Shows up after everyone's dead and is like, alright, now I'll handle this.
Well, the main reason revenants come back is for revenge.
Oh. Not
Like-
revenge for other people, just for yourself.
No, yeah, literally for yourself. Usually you have to
Dang.
die in a really bad way
Shit.
for you to come back.
Oh, dang. Okay.
So pretty much avenge yourself.
Yeah.
Also in Marvel's Thor Ragnarok?
No one knows.
Yeah, honestly. The main antagonist, Hela, resurrects an ancient army of soldiers and her familiar Fenris as reverence in an effort to conquer Asgard.
Oh, shit.
So if you've seen the movie, spoiler alert, she resurrects the army because she felt she was wrong because her dad pretty much sealed her away in prison
Okay.
because she was really powerful and wanted to rule everything.
Now she got an army of zombies. She's
Yeah,
good.
basically. And for video games, you're gonna like this.
I saw the word RuneScape and I looked over, so I'm pumped. Are you gonna say RuneScape?
God damn it!
Robert, listen.
Yeah. No, don't listen.
What?
Listen. Shh, be
Don't
quiet.
listen.
Mention it.
Do it, Brandy. Mention it. We're all excited.
So for video games, in the online game RuneScape, revenants are revenants are powerful undead spirits of warriors who died during the God Wars.
I don't
You
even.
gotta mention, that's where all the fucking Venezuelans patrol, dude.
Where is this in RuneScape?
It's in the wilderness.
Bro, I never go to the
Venezuelan
wilderness.
clans go there by the hundreds. If you're killing shit, it's only because they're allowing you to kill those shit.
In the wilderness, players
People,
can
like,
kill
leave
other
them to be
players.
Damn.
Yeah, if not, they'll fucking kill you.
Oh, do you mean like
Because it's
literal Venezuelans?
literal Venezuelans?
Like they're logged in Venezuela
Yeah, I watched
protecting
a
you?
video where they actually like talked to like one of these Venezuelans, and he's like, "Yeah, I do this for like a job because I make like $3 an hour."
Oh, real
which
money?
Is more than like $1.60 an hour, which is like the national average. There.
Okay.
Damn.
Yeah, so he just like fucking slays people, or like they like you can pay them to be there, and then they'll just like sell the money for like money.
I should do that on RuneScape. Because if you guys play old school RuneScape, the wilderness is scary.
Fuck yeah.
Other players can kill you there. I never go to the wilderness. It's
Fuck the wilderness.
Every time I go, people like freeze me and you can't move, and then they kill me, and I'm like, fuck you, bitches.
I have to explain, they freeze me and you can't move.
Okay, fuck you, you bitch. You're just as bad as the PKers. Player killers for non old school RuneScape players.
Oh.
Literally, is that literally all you wanted me to hear though?
Yeah.
Also in the video game The Ender Scrolls Skyrim, revenants appear as their Norse equivalent, the Dragor, serving as one of the game's common enemies.
Ooh.
I also wanted to mention that there's a movie called The Revenant that came out in 2015 with Leonardo DiCaprio.
It sounded familiar, but I've never seen this.
But it actually isn't about like an actual revenant.
Well, that's fucking
it's pretty
stupid.
close, unless like
It's supposed to be because like he was like left for dead, like he was
Yeah.
supposed to have been dead.
yeah, he was
Okay.
left for dead, but he survived and then goes after revenge.
I got a little
Which is
feature about
basically
revenge episode.
which is basically like what a reverend is though, like you
Okay.
die and then come back for revenge.
He was a wannabe. Anyway,
basically. Yeah, that's what a revenant is.
I feel like your entire story got overshadowed by you mentioning old school RuneScape. So that was the best thing I've heard all day. Thank you for that, Brandy. That really hyped me up. Anyway, if you guys want to email us, you can at talesfrompodcast@gmail.com. Our website is talesfrompodcast.com. Our Instagram, talesfrompodcast. Our Twitter, spooky_beyond. Thank you guys for listening, and catch you next week.
Bye.
Goodbye. Brandy.
Bye. Revenants are part of the legend. Look, I'm gonna start that over.
I thought there was just a dramatic pause. I was like, what legend?
Yeah, Michelle, your stomach's pale as fuck.
Damn, why are you judging?
Christ, you're
Why are
so
you
white.
judging her
Look how pale her stomach
stomach?
is. Look at her arms.
Makasha. Don't look at me like that, you bitch.
Damn, bro.
You wish you had.
Mom, say your stomach is so pale
They
compared to
sourdough rolls.
your stomach's pale compared to the rest of your
It
body.
looks like cream cheese.
How?
Thank
the
you.
color.
It's lumpy.
It's all gloopy and white.
Aww.
Gloopy.
Damn, bro. If Jesus talks to me like that, bro, I probably have another eating disorder.
It's Leah's therapy?
Yeah,
What?
he is therapy.
Yeah.
Robert's just like, I'm gonna eat my strawberries.
No, like almost every day, me and Michelle call each other's stomachs food items. So
Oh my god.
We could like call them fakashas.
What the fuck
It's
is that
the,
mean?
it's the lumpy bread that you need. when you
Oh.
So he just like grabs and he's like, fakasha, fakasha, fakasha. I do it to him and he's like, no fakasha for you. 'Cause he's really rude.
Wow.
I'll cut it out.
You guys are so good to each other.
I don't know if that's sarcastic. Should I bitch slap her or not, Brandy?
No, I'm
Let
serious.
me get all the way.
I'm serious.
You wish you had fakasha.
I'd be too sensitive for fakasha.
It's fun to grab and just be like, just knead it like a little dough.
I do bagel.
What do you mean, big? Oh.
I don't do bagel. It's more fun to do it like.
Michelle, you have cream cheese. I got the bagel.
Ew.
I got
Just
the
imagine
bagel.
like a little kitten's paw.
Oh my god, I wish they could
They do
see
this.
this right now.
Oh my god, I can't wait to get a cat and needs the fakasha. My fakasha.
What?
A cat will need my fakasha. It'll step on my stomach.
No, they don't. Cats don't bake.
Not literally, Leah. My stomach is not literally focaccia.
Oh.
Anyways.
I'm cutting it out.
Nah, leave it in.
With no context. They can't see what we're doing. We're just like, it's cream cheese. It's focaccia.
You should put that at
Bagel,
the end.
cream
The
cheese.
first time I show what I look like, it's gonna be a gif of me going like this. Stop it.
And I'll do this.
Oh, you should
And
like...
Brandy's just smiling in the middle.
Brandy will be sitting on the yak petting it.
We should send out Christmas cards like that for our podcast.
Oh my
Just
god.
make everyone uncomfortable.
Us with Krampus.
You dress as a Krampus while me and Leah are doing the bread stuff.
That part of the audio you should put at the end.
Yes.
All of it?
Just
All the
blooper.
focaccia.
Yeah, all
Okay,
the
I'll do
focaccia
that.
talk.
Yeah, and you start putting the weird shit at the end.
It's funny because
You could-
sometimes like the music stops and then I like hear some stupid shit
And
we
then you just
say.
hear her laughing with
Yeah, yeah, and then I'm like, oh my god.